Alright, welcome back. We're going to continue on with the shooting phase. In 40K you have 3 templates. That right there is the ordnance template, or the 5-inch template. A lot of people call it the pie plate. Lots o' death. This right here is a small blast template. And then here's the flamer template. If you notice, I have my templates lanyarded together and 3 holes drilled in them. I would recommend everybody marking their templates. Our game store has a habit of, how can I say this? The template sprout legs and walks off. So at least I know that these are mine. Here's an example on using templates. Let's say the flamethrower on the Imperial Guardsman. He shoots at the 2 Chaos Terminators. You basically put it here and measure. And in 5th edition, unlike 4th edition, if there's no more 4+, if any base is touched by the template, then they're included in the effect. In the previous edition, you'd roll a 4+ if they weren't completely covered, and at 4+, you'd be under it. Well, in 5th edition, if you're under the template, even partially, you're counted as hit. The same with all the other templates also. One thing to also note is in the previous video I was talking about going to ground. When you go to ground, I said you get a +1 to your armor save. Well, that's incorrect. You actually get a +1 to your cover save. And just wanted to let you guys know that. Alright guys, we're going to talk about the weapons real quick. In 40K the weapons fall into 3 categories, whether it's a heavy, an assault, or a rapid fire. Rapid fire weapons are like Space Marine bolters and stuff. If you move with a rapid fire weapon, you can shoot up to 12 inches and you can shoot twice. The downside is you cannot assault when you shoot a rapid fire weapon. If you're stationary with a rapid fire weapon, you can shoot 12 inches up to twice, or one shot at 24. So these guns are, basically for shooting. Use them if you're not going to get into close combat. The next gun we're going to talk about is the assault weapons. These are the guns that you use when you want to get in, shoot, and then get into close combat. Assault weapons are almost everything in the Orc army, a lot of the Eldar weapons. Assault weapons tend to have a little bit shorter range. They can basically shoot as many times as they are allowed and still assault. Pretty straightforward there. And then heavy weapons, if they move, they can't shoot. And heavy weapons are like the las cannon team over here, missile launchers and stuff like that. If they move, they can't shoot. If they're stationary, then they can shoot at their maximum range. So that's how. Some other weapons in the game are pistol weapons, ordnance weapons, which, remember, ordnance uses these big huge pie plates. Pistol weapons are great for taking a shot and then going into close combat. Pistols, you can do that. You can shoot and go into close combat. You have pinning weapons such as sniper rifles, and then you have your plasma weapons where they do lots of damage, but if you roll a 1, you have to take an armor save. If you take an armor save, that guy killed himself. So that's just too funny. Twin link weapons are, a lot of the Tyranids can do this. Twin link allows you to re-roll your misses to hit. So if you need a 4 to hit, then you'd basically, let's say you had some twin linked weapon and it had 3 shots and you needed 4s to hit. Well, that's a 3, 3, and a 1. So those would all be misses. So for twin linked, you get to re-roll those misses, and well, my crappy dice, I just rolled 1 hit. So that's how twin linked works. Your rending weapons, whenever you roll a 6 on a rending weapon, it has a couple of effects. The rending weapon, it automatically causes a wound and counts as armor piercing 2. So it basically punches through the strongest armor in the game, which is Terminator armor, which is an armor of 2. And it also, if it's used against a vehicle, you get D3, a further D3 roll, and that's added to the total for its shot. Sniper weapons are good for pinning. units down. Meltas, which the game in 5th edition, they might as well call it Melta 40K, because Meltas are by far the most, seems to be the most prevalent special weapon out there. What makes Melta so good is if you're within 6 inches of a Melta gun, then you get to add an additional D6 for the penetration roll. And while we're on that, let's talk about penetration rolls real quick. We'll talk about it more in the vehicle section. When you hit a vehicle or anything with an armor value and you hit it, what you do is you say it's a missile launcher hits it. Well, let's just use a multi-mount. That's what we're talking about. It's strength 8. So typically you roll, it's the strength of the weapon plus 1d6. Well, a Melta, if you're within 6 inches, is 2d6. The strongest armor in the game is 14. So really you can see, okay, Melta weapon hits, you'd roll 2d6. Well, here's another craptastic roll. But 13, that is a pretty good roll, believe it or not, because most armor in the game is, your walkers tend to be 12. Yeah, I know there's a few exceptions out there at 13. But walkers are 12. Your fast stuff like your Eldar Vipers and stuff are 10s. A lot of transports are 10s and 11s. Open top vehicles are 10s. Predators and stuff like that's 13. Land Raiders, monoliths are 14s. The fronts of Lehman Russes are 14. So you can see how the extra D6 is huge. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is a little bit on the cover saves and stuff like that. Another change to 5th edition is the amount of cover save. Everything in this game seems to have a cover save, 4+ being the most prevalent. Cover saves are generated like when one unit fires through another unit, you get a cover save. Of course, if you're like in ruins, it's a cover save. If I fire through one of my units, it's a cover save. If I wanted to shoot, say this heavy weapon team was a separate unit for the guardsman, he would get a cover save because I'm shooting through two things actually, because I'm shooting through the building here or ruins, and because I'm shooting through a guard unit. So it would get a 4+ cover save. I personally think 4+ is too much. I think it should be 5+, but hey, that's just me. Remember, we're in 5th edition. This is true line of sight. So if you can see something, you can shoot it. Woods used to, you can only see through a certain number of inches of woods, and it would block line of sight. Well, that's not the case now. You have bionic eyes, and you can just see right through that 10 inches of woods and shoot those guardsmen behind it. So a little bit different. There is some terrain like rocks and stuff that do block line of sight, and you can only shoot things that you can see. So it's the Imperial Guard player's turn. He wants to shoot the 2 Chaos Terminators, but if you notice, you can't see them. Therefore, this terrain would block line of sight, because there they are. There's the 2 Terminators over there. So really, you really need to read through the terrain rules and get an understanding of those, and those are like on page, somewhere around page 22 of the book. Terrain is huge in the game. That's one of the huge things that separates 40K from fantasy, is terrain is part of the game. It's fun to play in and around, where in fantasy it's more, well, you don't want to get caught in woods or stuff because it really slows you down. But that's a topic of another video. Alright, we're going to do a real quick and simple wound allocation. This is something that's a little bit different in the game too. Say these guardsmen right here, las cannon and that unit, shoot these 2 Chaos Terminators. This one has a combi multi-melta. This one just has a combi bolter. If the las cannon hits, that would be one. You would assign that one hit to one of these 2. Since the las cannon is strength 9, AP 2, you guys remember what the AP number is? If your AP number is equal to your armor, then you don't get an armor save, so it punches right through. So you would assign that one. So we'd want to assign it to just the regular bolter, combi bolter, and it's